President Biden's COVID diagnosis has him off the campaign trail as more Democrats are discussing the viability of his candidacy in public and in private. Joining us now, Symone Sanders Townsend, host of MSNBC's The Weekend and a former senior advisor to Vice President Harris, and Alencia Johnson, political strategist, a former senior advisor on the Biden 2020 campaign. Thank you both for being with us. I got to tell you, Symone, I don't know how I could describe what is going on in the Democratic Party. Can you?
We can go with crazy, unprecedented, insane, undescribable. It is. I mean, that's what, and I mean, I've talked to everyone from DNC members to delegates to voters to like party leaders and strategists, some of my former colleagues as well, Jose. And there are people that just cannot believe that the opposition to the president's candidacy has been as strong and as vocal in this particular moment, less than a month before a convention, right? Less than 3 months until people actually start voting. It is, even I had even people who work for President Clinton who say, we have never seen anything like this. And I mean, they worked for President Clinton.
You did. But Symone, you know the president, certainly know the vice president. How do you think he's feeling about this extraordinary lack of solidarity and loyalty? And, you know, the president, as a candidate, just came through a long and intense primary process. Granted that he was the president. But how do you think the president feels with this lack of solidarity, respect, and, you know, support?
I think two things. I go back to the primary, the competitive Democratic primary in 2019, 2020, and there were calls when for all of these candidates to drop out when it was just very clear that Joe Biden was the presumptive Democratic nominee. And he himself would tell us privately, and he said publicly, that I don't believe we should pressure anybody to get out. I'm not going to pressure anyone. It's a personal decision. And we will not be calling for anyone to get out. And I don't want to see anybody on TV saying that. So to see what's happening to him now, I think it is personally for him probably quite shocking. I will say this, though. I think people don't understand how is he still so resolute, and he's lost all this support from a number of congressional members. He has been out there with the voters, and every interview I've seen him do, he says, I hear what people are saying, but the voters are telling me. And if you look at what happened in Las Vegas, he went to the NAACP convention. If you saw his rally in Michigan, the voters and people that he is seeing are telling him, hey, we are with you. And so that flies in the face of what he is maybe hearing on television, and definitely what he heard from everyone from Speaker Emerita Pelosi to Jeffries and Schumer. And I think that all goes into his resoluteness. He did win a primary. He is the nominee. But at this point, it does feel like that the tide is so strong that he is swimming against. It is only Joe Biden that's going to say, I don't want to swim against this tide anymore. But last night, Quentin Fulks told myself, Alecia, and Michael that the president is still swimming. He is in this race. And it's my understanding they reiterated that today. So right now, things have not changed, but the tide is strong. Yeah. And the last point I'll make is that the tide, if the president says he can't swim anymore, I think the only natural choice is Vice President Harris.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you about that, Alencia. I mean, the Democratic primaries were shifted to start with South Carolina this time around, no doubt, to help in some ways the president. That was a clear indication of support of the party for him. And, you know, he has been the recipient of overwhelming support in these primaries by African-American and Latino voters, by the millions.
Absolutely.
And so now these calls in Washington for him to step aside, how does the ground shift so quickly? And then what is that ground that's shifting? Because there is a solid ground of people of our color and our persuasion who supported him and went to the polls. So what's that ground, and why does it shift so quickly?
Well, it's interesting because there's a disconnect with the conversations that are happening in the media. The party elites are having one conversation, and as Symone was saying, the voters are having another conversation, particularly Black and Latino voters who may not be excited about Joe Biden, but this for them is their nominee, and all of this conversation is a distraction. To the point of congressional leaders as well, most of the Congressional Black Caucus, as well as the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, are still with President Biden, as well as a lot of progressive leaders like your Senator Sanders, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, AOC. These are folks that actually listen to
just spoke to
voters.
To Senator Padilla, who was 100% behind him.
Absolutely.
So what happens? now?
What happens is, I hope, and I'd love your take on this too, we both worked on the campaign in 2020. You hope that the campaign actually continues to triple down engaging those voters, and that the party elite starts to actually listen to the voters that are going to determine this race. It's not going to be the conversations that we're having. It's going to be who shows up in the ballot box in November.
So, Simone, what do you think happens from today going forward?
Again, I think the president is resolute. However, I think the fact that COVID has taken him off the campaign trail, he is now not. I think it is really important to note the place that he is in. He is physically at home, not being surrounded by the voters, the people that are saying, oh, we support you, we're with you. He's at home. And I don't know if the change of environment, not being on the campaign trail, could affect him. But again, the voters, and at this point, the delegates, they say they're still voting for Joe Biden.
So you think he stays in?
I do not know. And that is crazy for me to say.
Valencia?
I don't know, but if he doesn't, it can only be Vice President Harris.
Simone Sanders Townsend and Valencia Johnson, thank you so very much.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn. MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.